And she's run into the studio with some breaking news about Debenhams.
Yes.
Yes, James Brown.
Thank you very much. It's a 17 minutes past 8, and it's been a rather lovely morning. I'm out now about this morning, but it might be a bit chilly, mightn't it, Carol? Morning. Well, we won't be on a Concorde later, but John Maguire, you might send me to Concorde. John Maguire will be a little bit later.
It's approaching 8 o'clock. We'll have the news, travel and weather. Wherever you're watching, we'll be back with the national headlines for you in just a few minutes' time. Desperate for a bit of sun. There's not much sun in our next
story,
next
no.
item, really. In the last few minutes,
might be sun, but it's going to be cold.
Yeah, in the last few minutes, it's been announced that European scientists are planning a mission into the Antarctic to try and find the oldest ice on Earth.
Yes, the ice has the potential to help scientists understand the Earth's past climate and then make better predictions about future changes. Dr. Anna Hogg is an environmental scientist. Morning to you.
Morning.
It is ambitious, this, isn't it? So just tell us what they're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Morning to you.
Morning.
It is ambitious, this, isn't it? So just tell us what they're trying to do.
Absolutely.
Deep. So, I mean, what sort of equipment do you need? And what you talked about it being remote. Tell us about the actual conditions that they'll experience when they're there.
So the conditions that you experience when you go and do fieldwork in Antarctica are extreme for sure. I was in Greenland last week and the temperatures were down to melt from the bottom of the ice as well. So we know in Iceland, for example, that there's lots of geothermal.
You compare that chemically with what we know now, and then you can sort of tell how things have changed over time. Is that how? I know I'm massively oversimplifying things, but is that basically it?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, ice cores are a really...
Were you, or what happened?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm here to work in, and I'm just lucky that this is my day job. Someone pays me to do this.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're so enthusiastic about it. Yeah.
The inspiring young scientists out there. Thank you.
It's 26 minutes past 8. Still to come for you this morning.
Well, don't forget the driver, where he stars as a coach driver and actually had to learn to drive the coaches too.
He'll be here to talk about that, and we'll be playing you that snippet of the Beatles as well. All that on the way after the news, travel and weather, wherever you're watching. See you in a moment. It's 8:30, watching Breakfast with Louise and Dan.
Let's get you up to date with the headlines.
Croissant compare, sort of Luxembourg croissant to a French one?
Presenteeism. So that is people who basically feel that they have to go into work even when they're not very well, because the result of them not being there will be even more stressful for them. And
The impact on people is quite devastating in some. A lot of them are anonymous, and you'll see why. I worked for an international company. The workload was such I worked from 7 in the morning to 3 a.m. the next morning.
whoa.
Because of the time zones, and the company's solution was to reorganise and replace me.
Yeah, and as you say, there's quite a lot of people who say that. There's somebody, again, anonymous, because there's still this stigma, isn't IBPD are saying we need to change things on that front.
Oh, Steph, thank you very much. Thanks.
And thanks for sending in those comments to us this morning on that story as well. Always lovely to hear from you. Still to come for you on Breakfast this morning.
You know, those are life-saving decisions that they're having to make, and how you go about making them.
Yes, I can imagine how difficult that is for you. What?
You talking about how your brain works under pressure.
Yeah, my brain didn't work very well under pressure.
Wasn't enough pressure.
Normally
Just
does.
sort of stopped a bit there.
Hey,
It's fine.
I just felt the...
I think that we caught you. It's fine.
Thank you. Don't know what happened there.
Do you have a bit of like Champions League? Do you have something?
I was just
Champions
thinking.
League
I was thinking something about something else completely.
But your brain didn't work under pressure.
Yes. I was actually wanting to talk to you about the fact that we are huge Champions League games coming up this week, aren't they?
Yes.
Manchester United play Barcelona tomorrow. City Spurs tonight.
Yeah, it's a really, really
Loads
busy
of
week.
stuff to look
I
forward
have to say I'm
to.
slightly disappointed because I thought you were going to sing the Champions League theme tune.
Oh no.
It's still a no, I think, Sal.
Oh, I've heard it so many times. No. Okay, we're going to talk about Eden Hazard. We might do that at the end.
Okay,
It works.
later.
Yeah. It's not the actual lyrics, but
Thanks for clearing that up.
I thought for many years that it was.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, because it was a bit foreign.
Well, they love lasagna over there. I'll sing that. Lasagna.
You've done it.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yes,
You made
there
my
you go.
day.
Yeah. I gave you the 10% version there. Really need
fine.
to give it full gum. Thank you, Sal.
So, the actor Toby Jones is well used to being in front of the camera, starring in some of the biggest Hollywood film franchises like The Hunger Games, Harry Potter and Jurassic World.
But for his comedy writing debut, he's turned to the small screen. He's taking a look at life of a very ordinary...
It's the second time this
Ask
week we've heard
Mackenzie.
about
Mackenzie's the one in charge of it. I'll do it if he writes another one.
Right, OK, we'll put some pressure on.
We've got a little treat for you. Would you like to see the live webcam of Bognor Regis?
I'd love
Have we
to.
got that? There must be a movie playing somewhere as well. Anyway, it's lovely to see you as always. Thank you
Cheers,
very much
thank you.
indeed.
It's 8:52. Well, we've seen the weather on Bognor Beach. Looks a little bit murky there this morning. Let's find out what's happening elsewhere.
Brilliant habit now of
Enjoyed those
surprising
bears.
us with
Remember
pictures
the
of...
bear? Was it last week, the bears?
We've had bears, we've had amazing lights, haven't we, as well?
Yes. Yes.
And we've had... do you remember the apple?
Meteor
Do
storm.
you remember the apple, the ice apple?
Oh, the ice apple, yes.
Amazing. They all...
She's good.
8:55. Here's all of them as well, John. Thank you.
Thank you to all the people who are getting in contact with us today to tell us where you can see Concorde in various parts of the UK.
Yeah. All right, now let's catch up with a brief look at the headlines wherever you are this morning. About the sort of psychology and, you know, you take incredibly important decisions under immense pressure, and you've looked at how decision-making processes are made, haven't you? Tell us a little bit about why you want to do that and what you found.
Oh my goodness me. So I had what turned out to be the most pivotal incident of my career. My husband and I, before we were married, we were both firefighters together on neighbouring stations, and one day I was called to an incident where a firefighter had been seriously burned.
Yeah.
And there were only 4 people on that fire engine, and he was one of them. So there was a 1 in 4 chance that it was him. And I had the most harrowing experience at an incident that I've ever had because I wasn't sure whether it was him. So I was torn between that role of a loved one and the role of a responder. Now, in a sense, I had a reprieve because it wasn't him that was injured, but it was our friend. So as much as I felt this overwhelming sense of relief, I also felt a horrendous feeling of guilt, and I carried that for years. And to be able to try to do something positive with it, because I found it was all consuming, I needed to do something good with it. And that's what prompted me to look at what causes firefighter injuries. And the vast majority of injuries across all industries are caused by human error. So that's not a problem with a piece of equipment or a faulty procedure, that's a human mistake. And I wanted to look at ways that we could help people to stop making those mistakes.
You do an incredibly important job. I wonder how you joined the fire service at the age of 18. How much has it changed over the years? Because it, you know, reputation of being quite a sort of manly atmosphere, I imagine, over that time.
It does, and in fact today there are only 5% women in the fire service, and in fact there are more chief fire officers called Chris than there are women chiefs.
Really?
Yeah, and do you know what? It's important, and the reason it's important to me is not because I think there should be some arbitrary quota on how many people of what group we have in the fire service, but because we need the best of the best, and being a firefighter is really hard. You are trusted by people when they are having their most vulnerable moments, and they trust us to know what to do to go in to help. So from my perspective, I need the best of the best to do that, and I need to attract more than the best of the people who are attracted to that stereotype to do it.
Absolutely brilliant message. We have run out of time. Thank you so much. The book is called The Heat of the Moment. It's incredible. It's out on Thursday. Thank you.
Fascinating
Thank you.
read. Thank you for watching today. We'll be back tomorrow from 6.
Bye-bye.
A case from the 30s in a family